We're back. This is our special live coverage of the Anambra November 8 governorship elections. We're live from our global headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. The spotlight again is on that city and state, Anambra State, but it's also perhaps a test for INEC under the new leadership of Professor Joash Amukwito, SAN. Let's get some perspectives and analysis on the program. My colleague Jeffrey is in Awka, the Anambra State capital. Jeff, I mean, you have been on ground. I saw some of your reporting earlier in the day. What we hear and what we've seen is that there have been a low turnout of voters and perhaps issues around allegations of vote buying. But I mean, you're the man on ground. What did you see and what did you hear?
Yes, Kelly, thank you so much. Continuing coverage of the governorship election in Anambra State today, when the people of Anambra have finally decided who leads them in the next 4 years. Well, the electoral umpire will give that result, will now announce that result to bring about what exactly is the verdict of the people of Anambra State. They call them Ndi Anambra, who have waited for 4 years to make this decision as to who leads them in the next 4 years. As you rightly pointed out, at the early hours of today, we were on the field to report and get to see exactly how things panned out. Well, there has been a concern, given the history, the immediate history of election in the state, 2021, where we had just about 10% of voter turnout, which is very huge voter apathy. Now, the place where I covered in Amobia, which is the community primary school Amobia, in Awka South local government area that has about 3 polling units, PU 001, 002, and 010, which had about 3,322 registered voters. At about 9:30, the numbers were not impressive, despite the fact that everything was ready, from early deployments by INEC, security agencies. It's a multi-stakeholder event, so literally everybody that was meant to be there before the people come, they were all there. But by the time I left at about 10, I discovered that less than 100 persons have actually voted in literally each of the polling units. So, I mean, the one that has 1,400, there are 2 that has 1,400. Just about 100 people had voted. And then there was one that was less than 500, about 100 people had voted. So if you do the approximation mathematically, in each of them, about 6–7%. As at that time, I don't know what it is right now, but if you check the IRF, perhaps if it's uploaded, we'll get to see the exact number. But that is just a microcosm of what I saw from where I covered. Our colleagues were in places like Newi, Inihiala, Onitsha. Tokwekutei was there, Charles was in Newi, and then others were at different places following either candidates and just covering the election. But there are people that actually also had their own tentacles spread across board, which are the observers. And they are right here with me, who will bring us a perspective as to what they saw, what they've experienced, and what they are inferring as far as this election is concerned. Joining me right here in our remote studio in Awka, the Anambra State capital, where we've been covering this event for days, is Maudi. She's a situation room analyst. Thank you so much, madam, for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
We also have Achike Chude, is also a situation room analyst. Thank you, Mr. Chude, for coming on the program.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Let me start with you, madam. We call it the calm before the storm, but for now, we've not seen anything that gives us a sense of panic and fear, but we always feel that the real funny happens around collation period, which is sorting and counting has been done, and now those movements will start. But let's go back to the very, very beginning of the electoral. How would you assess today's exercise, and where did you go to, and what did you see?
Okay, personally and my team, we went to Newi, South and North. We met Charles in the field. We found out in Newi North, Urago, Iraq 1, they have 4 wards in that place and 13 polling units. By the time we left, 8:55 a.m., no accreditation, no voting, and the INEC people were trying to set up. And surprisingly, we have heavy police presence in that work, and many INEC materials going to other places, and personnel were still there at that time. They were waiting for their vehicles to come and take them. And we saw some of the INEC administrators coming to report to us that their vehicles are taking them to their polling units without security personnel, and they are worried. And while we were trying to escalate, because the police people gave us a police person in our situation room, that we should always escalate when we have issues of security, then they left. But we succeeded in escalating the issue. But when we enter Newe South, it was a different ballgame. We saw voting accreditation going on from 9 a.m. But we didn't see many voters, but it's better than where we left Enugu North. That when we were leaving west, we saw very few people trickling in. And one surprising thing we saw market fully open. People trading on today and going about their normal business. Personally, I believe that when they finish with the market, they will go and vote. You know, despite the fact that in the Newe South, all the polling units we visited, as such as, and we had it on camera, people buying and selling votes, negotiating, how much will you pay me, how much did they pay you in that Newe South. So, but generally, just coming to the election, it has been peaceful. And that also reflected in the election day, apart from what happened in Agwata. Everywhere was peaceful. And you can see people going about their business. And we also saw in Newe South, for like Central School, we have 4 polling units there and 1 police personnel who was sitting very far from the 4 polling units, where chairs covered before we met in the Omuji Mala, where the APC governorship candidate supposed to vote. We saw, and in the where the APC candidate was supposed to vote, there was no single security personnel in the 2 polling units. We stayed there for a long time because we were waiting. We left after 11.
So no police, no NSCDC?
No NSCDC, no police officer, nobody. So we tried to escalate it, that this place, Newe South, no security personnel, and we think they need security personnel, and we left. All the places we visited in Newe South, the issues we have, inadequate security personnel deployment and serious vote by. But because the places we visited in Newe North have not commenced at the time we visited, we left after 9 in all the polling, so we cannot judge whether they too bought and sold votes, since we didn't even see. And anybody you try to ask questions, actually, INEC people were coming to report to us personally if we can help them. They want to be going to their polling units, and those who have set up, and you know that place is ranked. 13 polling units supposed to have started by 8:30 a.m. because nobody is transporting them to anywhere. They were there, and nothing was happening. So when we wanted to find out, they said because there's no voter, what do we expect them to do when there are no voters? And we saw heavy police presence, probably because it is a rat. And our people, situation room observers and citizen observers that are covered, and roving observers like us, covers all the 21 local governments. It's also probably a safe view, a few places that there was heavy turnout of voters. Mostly today, maybe we came back after 1, maybe between 1:30 and 2, and 2:30. Many citizens who have gone to do their business or what they wanted to do have come back to vote. But generally, I think today's own will be better than year 2021 second governorship election in Anambra. I also saw that there was improvement in the beavers deployed, except a few places that our observers observed that the beavers, the INEC people complained that their beavers was not working, but it was rectified immediately. Generally, the beavers worked, unlike what happened in year 2021. And generally also, we didn't have places starting voting by 2 p.m. or 1 like what happened in year 2021. We didn't also see withdrawal of trained ad hoc staff of INEC like what happened in year 2000 due to serious insecurity issues then. So today is an improvement of what happened 4 years ago. But we were hoping to see like 30% or 40% voter turnout today. But I don't think we will see it with what we have observed, and our observers, both accredited and citizens observers, reported. We not really think we will see what that 30% we have projected, 30% and 40% projection we have made. We are not so very sorry we will see it. I was actually having a conversation with journalists in the Omo Dimala polling unit where APC governorship candidate supposed to vote and voted because he didn't come till we left. We left 11:20 a.m. today. So when we were having conversation and we saw citizens coming to negotiate for the how much are you going to pay for a vote, we saw it as a governance failure, because if you have worked for people, you don't need, if you have actually touched the lives of people, the people will on their own come out to vote and say, for the past 60 years or since they returned to civilian rule or democratic rule, we have fared better. So nobody need to preach, because these people that you actually asking to come out, they know all these things. It's not about voter education. It's the fact that they are actually asking themselves, has this governance worked for me? Has it worked for our society? And in the same way we saw a lot of underage voters. And all of them, when you ask them, look, you can see that this person is 12 years or 13. I am 18. When did you turn 18? Last year. I am 18, as if all of them are 18. And you can see that they are not 18.
Where was this, by the way?
Omu Dimala, a polling unit in South.
I don't intend to cut your line of thought, because I know there is a lot you have to say. I also noticed someone where I covered who I had to walk up to. I said, how old are you? And he said he was 18. Of course, I can't argue his age with him. I'm not God. But I just looked at him funny and moved on with what I was doing. Actually, we're now reviewing the exercise. It's not over. It's still a long walk, or slightly much of a long walk, because sorting, counting, announcement of results are taking place, or have already taken place at those polling units. Collation will take place across board to the local government before. I'm sure perhaps this evening we'll see the opening of the HQ, state headquarters, for the election to be called maybe today, tomorrow, whenever all the local government arrive. But let me go back to where she landed from, and she complained about improvement in security better than the previous election. But again, we're worried about voter turnout, which is a big deal. What did you see?
Yeah,
where did you cover?
Well, coming into the election, it was clear that something was different. Because we were here in 2021, and the atmosphere was palpable with anxiety and fear, and with all manners of disinformation and misinformation, with threats, being passed on social media about people coming out to vote, and all that. Virtually all of these things that happened then were non-existent. So once we moved into town, I came in on Friday. It was clear that it was not the same kind of environment. That was an improvement. of course, we're talking about insecurity. And the election held on that time. We were quite happy. Maybe briefly, you know, where she ended up about undervoting and all that, and then even you yourself, you said you had seen something to that extent. And one is reminded of a story. I won't mention names of, we were told of a footballer in those days that left Nigeria, played for the, it was it under 21, and then he was bought,
under 17.
you know, by some of these European countries, and they said, well, he's a young boy, so it's all about feeding him so that he will grow tall. And they kept on doing that, and it didn't happen. Kept on having injuries and so on for somebody as young as that. So that's where I will stop at that. So because this argument, this issue came up some years back in a general election about certain people, you know, using kids everywhere to vote and the rest. And then the argument was that it's just that they are short, but they are old. You know, but they are old. So that was the excuses they gave. So like you said, who are you? Even some police people came up, and even INEC people came up and said, they are not doctors, they are not nutritionists, so they cannot, if somebody says, I'm this age, who are you actually? Just like you said, who am I? You know, so, you know, so anyway, but generally, you know, the 30%, 40%, it's not as if, it was, I think it was more of a hope and expectation. But regardless of what you saw, what I have seen, even if we have a 5% increase on the 10% of 2021, it's an improvement. If it's not an improvement I would want, personally, I would be satisfied with a 100% improvement. That means we are talking about 20%. You know, but we will take it. After all, the general election last year was 26% nationwide. In some states, it was even less than 20% and all that. So we need to have that improvement, especially coming, I mean, against the backdrop of the 2021 election that eroded the trust and confidence of a lot of Nigerians. So the onus was now not on us, because truly, in fairness to us and to the media, to you guys, we had done our part. We told citizens, go and vote. This time around is going to be different. Beavers, that was it, the game changer. You know, and then so everybody went out. So we did our job. We brought the youth to the extent that about 76% of young people registered. In that process, it was phenomenal, young people. And so when you see what is happening, for instance, today, even today, outside, if we get it right politically, if we get it right electorally, and that's what all of us are doing, both the media and civil society, if we get it right, the youth will always continue to determine who becomes governor, who becomes president in this country, who becomes a senator, a member of House of Reps, a member of State House of Assembly. The youth will determine that. So how I wish that they themselves would realize the power that they have. But even when they realize the power that they have, we also have to do more to clean up the system. And that's what organizations like us are trying to do. When we are in the field, when we are querying INEC, when we are asking the police questions, when we are asking, you know, we're saying all manners of things, and just to get the process to work. It is so that people at the end of the day, especially the young ones, will be able to show their power at the ballot box. So we went to, in fact, we visited about 30 polling units in Oka South. We started with Umuikem, that is Ndichie. You know, I think it's a rare. Just like she was saying, they had about 5 polling units there. You know, of course, on the average, they started maybe around 8:50 to 9 o'clock in terms of voting, because so they were already there, they were preparing. And just like she also said, we were also surprised, because if it's a rare, you would expect they are not moving anywhere. They are just coming there to set up. The people that would have issues with movement are the people that are going to be deployed from that place to the surrounding PUs and all that. So obviously we saw some people, a lot of people gathered, and then they didn't know how to move. You know, ad hoc staff of INEC, they didn't know how to move. There was a vehicle there. So we had to intervene. What's going on? We had to ask. They said they wanted to go to their areas of deployment. There was no vehicle. We had to intervene. We had to beg the driver, do what you have to do, sort out with the authorities later. but help these people. This is not just about you now. It's about the duty that you owe your state. And eventually, he agreed, and carried them and all that. So we saw that, and that was really a discrepancy. In all of the places that we saw, that we went to, we had adequate security personnel in all of them, all. Of course, from the reports from other areas, from Nnewi, which was talking about, from Anocha, parts of Anocha, there were places that did not have policemen. And not Anocha. There are polling units that didn't even have any policeman.
And I want to stay on that
strange.
For a moment.
Yes.
Isn't that strange? Because the data we have, the police have said they deployed 45,000, like
policemen.
Literally
deploying
to war. And then NSCDC 10,000. So we're talking about 55,000.
Yeah.
So is there an explanation to why anywhere in this state should not have significant? I use those words deliberately.
Look, there should not be an explanation for it. Really, there shouldn't be an excuse. Because just like you said, the number is much. How many polling units are we talking about? Maybe 15,000.
No, polling units about 5,000.
About 5,000. 5,000. The polling booths.
Yes,
about 15.
Yes, about 15.
Exactly.
Units, and they will not be voting in 2 polling units.
Exactly.
And the police promise us that every polling unit will have 3 policemen.
Yes.
Police personnel.
Exactly. So if there is an issue, for instance, that I might think, or something I think might perhaps have contributed, I might not be 100% accurate. It is the fact that some of them, as at the time we were in the field, from information we got, we are still waiting for the allowances to be paid. So they had to transport themselves. And from what we understood also, that in previous elections, they waited for vehicles that will be carrying them to drop them from one location to the other. They will move, they will drop you, carry the rest, drop them in another location and so on. A lot of them were now expected to look for money to transport themselves.
Okay, that's what you heard.
Yes, that's what we heard. That's what we heard, And so, of course, we made reports to the appropriate authorities. Perhaps some have gotten. Sometimes there is a delay, usually when they start disbursing money. So I can't speak for the people that are responsible. These are the things that we also heard, because it could also impact negatively, on the conduct of police officers and the deployment of police officers. But if there's one other thing again I can say about security is the courtesy, and this is not just about this election. In 2021, regardless of the tension, we saw real professionalism on the part of the average policeman, and we were impressed. Even for the soldiers that were also deployed outside of the polling units and all of that, there was total courtesy, and we also saw it very friendly. Always wanting to help. You ask questions. You come in, they want to ask questions, they stand up in respect, and then you ask questions, they are ready to respond to you and all that. So that is one aspect, again, that we saw about them, and we were quite happy that we could see this level of professionalism from them. And we hope that for those people who have, been settled with the allowances and so, we hope that others who have not would also be, able to get this. It's very, very important for them too, because it also helps, with the process.
Madam, before we leave the issue of security, you were trying to interject to make your point as well as to, because how do we now assess this? If we agree that the election was peaceful, at least to a very large extent, we've not heard of any major incident. Should we be worried about how many deployments were there or not? Or maybe where we were did not have the presence we needed, but there are other places that had maybe in excess of policemen or officials?
Okay, like the place we visited in Nnewi North, we made some polling units have 3 policemen there. I told you they had
so
13 polling units there. And one of the polling units, 007, told us that that particular polling unit, one of the police officers said that 6 police personnel were deployed to that polling unit. That they 3 have come, that they are still waiting for 3 to come. And I said, okay, the commissioner in charge of this election told us that every polling unit will have 3. I don't know why you people are having 6. So we left them. But in all the places we went, and the problem is that in the central school also, that have 4 polling units, that the voting, buying of votes were going on, we saw a political party agent agitating, was ready to fight the other political agent who masked him. Both of them were buying votes, but the way the other political party talks and agents were buying their own, helping the people to vote, helping them to put the ballot papers in the ballot buses. So it was...
This was visible, right?
Yeah, so your guy was there. He actually captured it in camera.
Interesting.
So we were saying that if he continues this way, there is a possibility that there will be an infraction, violence that might happen. And we have only one police officer who was sitting far away from the 4 polling units. One police officer for 4 polling units. Instead of at least, sitting far away 8. It's 3 times 4.
No, it's 12. But 12. He said at least, yeah, it should 3 per polling unit. So what we are told.
And I thought it's a wise decision to sit far away from the trouble.
I'm sure it wasn't armed, by the way.
It wasn't armed. And you can't bring one policeman to face so... Because the political talks, buying and selling votes, were more than the voters. So it was a wise thing for him to sit. And I actually think that there is need for a framework, a mechanism to audit this number of deployment. Because we will always hear 26,000 policemen deployed.
So I want to ask you a direct question. Do you really believe that the police, as announced by the HQ of the police, actually deployed up to 45,000 policemen? Because I'm imagining what it takes to move 45,000 policemen. Do you believe that?
I don't know. They say they deployed.
It's either you believe or you don't believe it.
No, in the field today, I didn't believe. Because in so many polling units, I didn't see the presence of police. And I asked that question before the police commissioner yesterday. I said, from my own experience of observing elections since 1999 over these years, we will see heavy deployment in cities, but when we go to hinterland, we don't see them. And I was telling KDI yesterday that there is need for us to develop an app to actually assess this deployment. We interrogate it. The time has come for us to interrogate it. Last election, they deployed 34 point something police personnel when there was serious issue of insecurity in Anambra, that you can see fear that when we enter this in 3 days to the election, we have to go to all radio stations, all TV stations. This situation, calling citizens, come out, nothing will happen to you, to vote. It was that bad. Now there is no insecurity, there is no serious contestation. That's our own observation. And then there is 45,000 policemen and 10,000 civil defense whom we do not see in the polling units beside Oka and Amobia. So even on Isha, that city there, many of our observers didn't see them. And then we need to have a mechanism, a strategy to interrogate, to assess, evaluate this deployment. Time has come. Because if we have to deploy for them, we were actually looking for a time that we don't need to deploy this number of policemen and DSS. Because like what happened today, you can see everybody, many people are playing football, many people are going to farm, many people are going to market. Nobody is fighting over anything. Some people are coming. How much are they paying? Some will go back, you know. It's not what they are worth.
So madam, let me take you to Achike just a moment, because I want to move on and come back to the issue of security if we have the time. I did ask her a straight question, but she was diplomatic about it. Do you believe in those numbers that has been put out by the authorities to say they deployed, given what you've seen? Because what we're doing right now, the Nigerian civil society situation review, so audit the process, assess what we saw. We're not saying...
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if it's on the basis of empirical evidence, in some places like the metropolis, you had, like I said, the places we went to in Oka South and maybe that Oka North to the same thing. You had just as they promised, 3 policemen per polling unit. We saw that there was good, and then we had the roving policemen too. They were moving up and down. And then in some of the, because we had to debrief, we had to do a debrief. Everybody had to, tell us what they saw and the things that they had sent to us via WhatsApp and other platforms. And then they did not see in so many other places. These things raise questions naturally, automatically. So where are these policemen? If you do not have, because if you're talking about the polling, where people go to vote, polling units.
Polling booths.
Yeah, polling booths. If you are talking about maybe about 15,000.
5,720.
Yeah, 5,000. Sorry, yes, 5,000 polling
units.
Yeah, polling units.
And then
times three at the most. It is 15,000 policemen at the polling units across the state. What happens to 30 to 40,000?
That's if you add the NSC.
Yes, if you add those ones, what happens to them? Where were they? These are questions you ask. They are natural questions, and it's not magic. So even without telling you yes I believe or yes I do not believe, do you understand?
You're just proving the data.
You look at the data. So it's for me. That's why I say these things are empirically verifiable. So it's not about do I believe or do I not believe, but this is the this is the data, this is the statistics. This is 15,000 deployment of men and women, security. Where are the other people? Where are they hiding? I mean, it's a simple enough question. And so it is not just this. There are every other issue that has to do with the election. We must ask questions about them. That's our job that we're doing. Because look, the reality is that the argument we have made, if from 1999 you have been deployed for off-cycle elections, 30,000, 35,000, 40,000. It means that there's something wrong with our democracy if you're not drawing down. Because for each, off-cycle election or each 4-year election cycle, there are lessons that should have been learned. We would have deepened our democracy and the ethos of our democracy. Would have deepened it with every new experience at the polls. The politicians would have learned some lessons, invaluable lessons, that will help them prepare the next election. The political parties would have learned some lessons. The people themselves would have learned some lessons. INEC would have learned some lessons. So why are we still deploying that number?
You've raised something that just crossed my mind now. So when we hear good number, because we want to break it down to the barest minimum on each of the conversation we're having here today, because this is a precursor to another set of all-cycle elections that we can learn. We'll learn from this.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah.
On the other one. So what do you think citizens? How do you think citizens feel when they hear 45,000? Do you think they hear confidence or over militarization or over policing? What do you think radiates? Because that's psychological.
Yeah. No. It's a mix.
Okay.
In a place, with within the context of what has been going on in Anambra State for some time, I think it makes, to some extent, it makes some sense for you to say, look, we are going to deploy heavily because this exercise must be done whether we like it or not. So there is the issue of confidence that it could give to people who have been used to the violence or have been seeing the violence in the state. In states that are, that have been more or less peaceful, that have been, having more or less peaceful elections, it raises a worry of over-militarization and striking fear in the hearts of the people, really. And that's the argument we have made. And don't forget that we're making this argument in the context of our democratic experience. This is not a military dictatorship. This is a civilian government, And so when you get to that level where people, you have to, deploy men in jackboots and with their guns and the APCs and the rest, there's always that tendency for it to cause problems. But look at the fact. Look at even what has happened today. We are talking about the fact, the fact that maybe in some areas, like Ma has said in Nnewi South, where they covered a part of Anocha, we did not have policemen, and yet there was peace. What does that tell you about the people of Anambra State? They are making a statement that they are getting used to the idea that election is supposed to be a useful I mean, a peaceful democratic exercise. The people of Anambra State are getting used to that, and that is a wonderful thing. That even in those places where you did not have serious, security, there were no security breaches. But perhaps again, there was something Ma also talked about, and which could also be responsible: the lack of serious elective competition. Because sometimes the formidability of the different participants in the process determines the level of the decibel, of noise and the tension that it generates. So if the contestants, it's another way of looking at it, if the contestants are not very powerful and they are not engaging themselves and are not deploying all manners of political tools and arsenal against one another, there's always that tendency for the tension itself, for the decibel, to go down to some extent. Perhaps that could be responsible. So let's not jump into the conclusion of saying, yes, it's all about lack of tension. Perhaps the lack of competitive, electoral process also contributed to the diminution of the tension in the land.
Well said. I'm looking at
last 4 years.
Just a moment, man. I'm just looking at so that I can update our audience. The beautiful thing about IREV, the viewing portal. This is a genius idea by INEC. That, of course, we know what happened. That we all quarreled off.
No, we can't forget. We can't forget.
But we're here now. IREV is a viewing portal. I'm checking out how many results have been uploaded. Out of the 5,720 polling units, 4,339 results have been uploaded, which comes to about 75%.
Yeah,
that's
excellent.
That's quite fair.
Yeah,
so with this, we should be expecting results to be announced tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
Except, I'm interested in Oka South, which is the second largest, 214,000, and then Idemili North, 245,000. Those are the two biggest blocks. But 75%, just maybe about 3 or 4 hours after the election. It's impressive.
No, it's amazing.
Amazing. And the same thing, 4 years ago, the upload was fast.
Apart from what happened, which you made reference to.
Okay.
That was we didn't know.
Let's unpack some of the things you said in passing.
Okay.
Let's go deeper. And that has to do with vote buying. I think somebody had told me, although I didn't get close to that area, somebody had reported how vote buying was taking place close to that community primary school Amobia. Now, the Amobia primary school, community primary school is very open, a lot of media presence. So for you to behave anyhow, you'll be caught easily because so much police presence. I counted at least 15 EFCC gentlemen, 15. That's when they showed up to maybe show themselves, just to ensure that people don't misbehave and all of that. But this is 2025. We're still worried about the issue of vote buying. Now, the amusing part for me, or let me humor it on this, when the governor was interviewed, he talked about vote buying. And his biggest, quote and unquote, biggest contender also complained about vote buying. I don't know whether both of them were talking to themselves or who they were referring to. So, is it that there's vote buying on all sides, or what do you make of that matter?
Okay, when we saw vote buying, we saw major two parties buying votes. And I don't actually bother myself about that vote buying because I know it will have little or no impact in this election.
Are you sure?
Sure, very, very sure. I encountered...
I would like to find out his view on that.
I encountered, election is won before the election is day. So many things happening in Anambra. And the major fundamental thing that happened here is that there is no serious contention. There is no serious contention. And that is what is responsible for the seemingly calmness. In 2021 November and October leading to the election, there were 3 major contenders. And the way we were cruising in any south and north, I don't think we would have done it in 2021. There was a political figure in Newi that holds Newi down. So that figure is no more there. And so this election has been won before today. Whether they buy...
No,
they
allow INEC to decide that.
Yeah. But I didn't say the winner anyway. I said it has been won. Anything needed to put in place to win, I think somebody did it to win. Selling vote between 5,000 and 10,000 will not change anything. But all of them are guilty. The party who have money to buy the vote, bought vote. But I don't think it will have any...
both the ruling and the opposition.
They bought vote. But I don't think it will have serious impact. And also, it brings me to the question of if you do not want to contest election, don't contest election. It's a serious business. But if you must contest election, put all that you have in it and contest. And don't waste people's time and waste INEC papers to put on the ballot. Meanwhile, you don't even have the posters to announce your presence and what you have to do. And going forward to Ekiti and Osun next year, I think police should do a lot more because they told us that they will arrest those buying and selling of votes. They promised us, but we didn't see it. I think they should start arresting them because in year 2022, ESCC arrested vote buyers and sellers in Ekiti. Nothing came out of it. Grandstanding is one thing, and taking it the whole road. Arresting, prosecution, and a punishment for it to serve as a deterrent from other aspiring buying and selling of. Not only the buyers and sellers, because most of them are women, I saw in the field today. Even the people who bring out the money, those sending the agents to go and buy and sell, those ones also should be arrested and punished so that others will not buy votes. Most importantly, as we go take it, the police should take time to look at this deployment, 45,000, 80,000, and look for a way to work for peaceful election on election day. So we don't need all these numbers. Many people will see police, they will run away because there is no tension, there is no insecurity, and they will be wondering what are they doing again. Now we are no longer asking people not to come out and vote. We are no longer killing ourselves. What is the business of soldiers and policemen? It will also intimidate people who are not, if you know the history of Anambra, they are not even ready to come and vote before. When they see you, policemen, they will even go back. So why should I go and lose my life for these politicians? So it will serve, if there is insecurity, it will police will encourage people to come out. But if there is no insecurity, it will discourage them. It will become an intimidation for them not to come out. So we should wait as we go take it an auction. We should look at this insecurity. And police should also do a lot more. But police is our friend. Having program to meet with the citizens and voters before the elections.
Let me take you, Mr. Achike. You can piggyback from what she said.
Okay.
But in addition to that, she's made mention of the fact that because there are so many layers to an election, and that's why it's a multi-stakeholder exercise, that everybody looks at it from different prism. We're not just interested in the outcome. The process is also very critical as far as election is concerned. So you can piggyback from what she said, but in addition to that, she said that she doesn't believe, that's her view, vote buying influences anything. What do you think? Do you also agree, or is it that they made up their mind, they'll just collect the money and do whatever they want to do ab initio?
You know, sometimes, I don't know, somebody, was saying the other time that the devil has a way of calling somebody Satan. Calling that, then that one calls that one the devil. So when the pot and the kettle are busy, painting each other black.
Counter-accusing.
Exactly. Then you ask yourself, what are these not best of the same feather?
But established that something is happening.
Are these not best of the same feather? Again, it's very well known that the political parties with money are the ones that spend money. And then people are talking about vote buying. Who is doing the vote buying? The political parties that don't have money or the ones that have money? And then they're now pointing their fingers at one another. You are the one that is buying it. No, you are the one that is buying it. And we all know that they are the ones buying votes. So it's what we see every day. But so politicians are very strange creatures, especially Nigerian politicians. Morality does not play a part, in what they do in their psychological makeup. There is power, so Machiavellism, the end justifies the means, but there's something bigger, they sometimes or most times they fail to see the bigger picture. That when people stand in the sun and they stand in the rain, they are standing on their behalf and they must mean something. So that when you remember how, if you have conscience, and you remember how people struggle to vote for you, even though they don't know who you are.
And they will never meet you.
And they will never meet you, but somehow they believe in you. It must count for something. But for them, it doesn't. And that's a very great mystery to me why they behave the way they behave. You also, and then you asked a question. That was a direct question you asked. I'm trying to remember.
You believe vote buying influences?
No, yeah.
Influences their decision.
Okay, let me put it this way. She talked a bit about providence. It goes either way. When she says it doesn't really matter, whether people do vote buying or they don't vote buying, the winner is always known. The winner will always be known in general terms for everything. Well, nobody sees tomorrow. But tomorrow we all know that the sun is going to rise. And then after the sun rises, sometime during the day it will get dark. This is known. Again, maybe providence. So already there will be a governor that will be either re-elected or a new governor will emerge, maybe by tomorrow. It's known. Clear. Even though we might not know who it is. I think the politicians, you see, if for them it doesn't make any sense for them to vote buy, they will not buy votes. They will not spend money. They will prefer to put that money somewhere in an account. So I think deep down they have a feeling, whether we think that it will work or not, they have a feeling that if they spend more, that they will get something, they will get value for the monies they are spending. But the issue is, do they have like $1 trillion naira? Obviously, if a governor or a politician or whoever is spending like 500 billion naira today
to influence votes, candidates.
Yeah.
With this number you've given, if you spend 500 million naira as a governorship candidate, you will lose billion.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought.
Good, of course. Of course. So the issue is this: if you're spending 500 billion, and then somebody brings in like maybe 2 trillion, no matter how unpopular he is, he might win. If what motivates people to go to the polling, unit to vote is money. If 2 trillion will buy 200,000 votes, and 500 billion will buy 100,000 votes, the guy with 500 billion naira will lose that election. That's my thinking. So it depends on what they put. But again, there's a point in what she's also saying. Do you have that quantum of money to spend? It is not as if, it will not make an impact. Do you have that quantum of money to spend? And even if you have that quantum of money to spend, the state is in trouble at the end of the day, because you and I know that as day is day and night is night, they will recover that money back. Because it's not their money in the first place, but when they spend it, it pinches them, because this is money that they would have kept somewhere for themselves, maybe. So it can go either way. It depends, but anyhow we look at it, just like she tried to say, it is wrong, and it will continue to be wrong. How have our people been so much, how have we gotten to this level? Nigerians were never like this. 20 years ago, we had a different psychology, we had a different people. But is it the weaponization of poverty that people keep on talking about? And again, the lack of proper education, not university education, not the 4 walls of a school, but even the education that you get from the streets. That you do not realize that when you sell your vote, you are taking a vote against yourself, and that you're shooting yourself in the foot. They have not, a lot of them have still not been able to make that connection between their state of well-being and the votes that they cast in the last election. So this is the issue, and that's a bigger job for us in the civil society space. We have been working on it for such a long time. I know she's been, doing so much along that line. But sometimes it's difficult. I was listening to a woman talking to some people, as we got to one of the PUs, and she was telling them and saying, look, that she doesn't have time, that they should know her price. You know, I'm telling you, she was boldly saying it, you know, openly, that the highest, anybody that gives good money, that...
Let me come to you, Madam Modi, and everybody who was part of this exercise maybe have their own parameter for measuring success. One of the institutions that I want you to assess now is INEC, because it looks like almost all our institutions are having a confidence issue in terms of they are literally on trial at every turn of event. So what will be success in your books by the performance of INEC?
Okay.
In this particular election, given all you have seen?
Okay, I think INEC performed this time around, especially in the area of beavers. You know, INEC has this recurring problem of logistics, so deployment and all that. We've been seeing it. So I think it has gotten to a stage we are getting used to this deployment recurring decimal. But I think in the area of beavers, they performed very well. Even the places that our observers saw.
And with the upload we have seen. So
our upload that we have seen. With the places, and our main point actually is this upload, because that is the only thing that makes the changes. After every other thing has happened, the only hope we still have is this upload. And if we see it accurately uploaded,
that's 81%, by the way.
Praise God. If we see it come out fine, and it happened again in Ekiti and Osun, and happened in year 2027, because there are other reforms we want to see that is no longer possible this time around. This is the only thing we are still hoping. So for me, INEC has done better this time around than, and because the INEC this time around do not have so much challenges, the INEC that conducted the 2021 second governorship election had. So with everything that has happened this time around, INEC has done better. But when they are going to Ekiti and Osun next year, they should face this issue of deployment, this issue of logistics, deployment of personnel and materials. They should try to face it. But with beavers, they have done well. And with upload to now, they have done well. So we are happy, and we didn't see anybody being beaten by security people. They have done well when they deploy them. They perform professionally. We have to give it to them. But we need to audit their deployment of 45,000, 88,000, 34,000. It's time we start auditing it. But INEC has done well today, and we are happy they have done well so far. We hope that nothing happens between now and midnight. So, because if it happens, we call them out. We thank them for doing well so far, and we'll call them out if anything stops. Because in Edo year 2020, they uploaded very fast like this. The remaining 10% or something, they took another 3 hours. We started calling out, shouting, and finally it happened. So we are happy that INEC promised that they are ready for this election. And I'm also happy that the chairman is walking the talk, the new chairman. So he said he will upload, he will deliver, he will do this. We are happy that he's doing that. Because what happened in Edo, September last year, we were not happy. Okay. We are happy here.
I'm talking about institutions.
We're beginning to round up. We have about 5 more minutes. So I would like you to wrap up with it. And I'm going to build on this later on with the other guests. And that has to do with, I don't know whether you noticed, but where we were, we're looking for party agents. What's going on with party agents?
You know, we
because
have...
First, they're supposed to monitor the process, report to their own situation room, countersign the from EC8A.
Yes.
You're looking for party agents?
Yeah. You know, we had talked about it, and there's an obligation for political parties. When you're throwing your hat in the ring, in the political ring, the electoral ring, you have to make sure that you're prepared, and you have to work hard. You have to be able to muster the resources, spend the resources, make sure that you get people to protect your vote. And don't forget, it's not even your vote, it's the people's vote. People who have come in, you know, to vote for you, even if it's 1, 2, 10 people, it doesn't matter. But you have a duty to monitor the vote. So it also shows a lack of preparedness you know, when you're involved in this process and then you don't deploy agents. So what you are saying is that you are there for the fun, for the ride, because perhaps you believe that you're not going to make any impact. If you believe that you're going to make an impact and that it's important, you will get people to protect your votes. You know, so it's been worrisome. In some polling units, I mean, PUs, we saw party agents, not more than 5 at any particular point in time. Not more than 5, the big parties, essentially. You know, so I don't think that that is a good one at all. They must show much more. They have an obligation, you know, that when you throw your hat in the ring, you must go all the way. You must walk the, you know, the whole hog. Then, you know, we talked a bit about institutions. She started with INEC and all that. But let's also commend other stakeholders. Let's talk about the police, for instance. They deliberately went out of their way to meet with civil society.
Sure.
Out of their way, they came visiting. The commissioner in charge of the election came visiting and was asked all manners of questions, made this presentation, and she talked earlier about them deploying, you know, somebody of the rank of an assistant commissioner of police
Our
to the situation room. So that as we are getting reports from the field, from everywhere, when there is a security situation somewhere,
yeah, sure.
yes, I mean that's an innovation, serious innovation. So that as you are getting reports from the field, there's a crisis here, there's violence here, she's there, where you know she's told immediately, and then she knows what to do. And I think that that is an innovation. Not only that, he told us that the police had actually deployed commissioners of police in all local government councils.
Areas, the 21 local
21
government
local government
areas.
councils, commissioners of police, as high as that. So that was the importance to which they attached, you know, the importance they attached to this particular process. And I think it's a good thing. This tendency to want to talk, the NYC also came visiting a stakeholders meeting, telling everybody there that these children that we are deploying, you know, this ad hoc staff, you know, are your children, our children, protect them.
Okay.
You know, and that's a great one.
kickoff, Situation Room Analyst, thank you so much for coming on the program. Maudi, Situation Room Analyst as well. It's not over. Collation begins, I guess, any moment from now at the State HQ, where we'll get to see how the local government will file in to announce their own result, and then eventual announcement by the returning officer of the state to know who. But with 81% uploaded, I guess more coming in the next 2 hours. With this rate, in the next 2 hours, I expect everything to be uploaded. So it's a question of moving it from all of the hinterland to the center to be able to announce the final result. But I must thank you both for coming. Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. All right, it's our continuing coverage of the Anambra State Governorship election. We are broadcasting live from Oka, the state capital, where we've been reviewing the exercise that started earlier today with voters filing out to make a decision as to who leads them in the next 4 years. Well, the process is not over. Sorting, counting, and announcement of result at polling unit in significant number of the polling units are over with the numbers we're seeing on IRF. So it's now a question of moving those results to collation center and eventual announcement of a winner. We don't know when, today or tomorrow. But we still have more conversations coming in just a moment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay connected to the world with Channels TV Podcast and get all the trending stories. Simply log on to channelstv.com, click on podcast, select the program of your choice, and listen. Our podcast is available on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Tap the expertise you trust. Touch the stories that touch you. Anytime, anywhere. We live in an era of massive innovation, true ideas that impact every industry and society, cutting-edge technology that gives you a glimpse of the future, intuitive minds that meet the demand of a revolution of talent. The future of enterprise lies in the digital world. It's full of questions and yet solutions. Join us on Tech Trends as we bring you the finest blend of technology and the latest happenings in the tech space. Tech Trends, the tech edge you need. Modern lifestyle requires a lot of energy, backed up by intense production processes, which impact the environment in more ways than one.
the world has realized that you cannot deal with climate change without looking at loss of biodiversity.
On Echo Africa, nature speaks and the discerning mind becomes champion of sustainable living.
One thing we want to do is to change public behavior around recycling.
Watch Echo Africa on Channels Television and find out what nature is saying.
It's election day in Anambra State, southeast Nigeria, and empty roads in places like Obunika Community and Umunya along Onitsha-Oka Expressway in Oyi local government area is not an unusual sight, but a sign that there's restriction of movement in place. And rarely would the Onitsha Head Bridge, the gateway into Anambra State, be devoid of traffic on a Saturday.
We are here, we have come. We are the voters.
Those who are not restricted,
especially in the area of beavers. You know, INEC has this recurring problem of logistics, so deployment and all that. We've been seeing it. So I think it has gotten to a stage we are getting used to this deployment recurring decimal. But I think in the area of beavers, they performed very well. Even the places that our observers saw.
And with the upload we have seen. So.
We have seen. With the places, and our main point actually is this uproad, because that is the only thing that makes the changes. After every other thing has happened, the only hope we still have is this uproad. And if we see it accurately uploaded,
81% by the way.
Praise God. If we see it come out far in, and it happened again in Ekiti and Osun, and happened in year 2027, because there are other reforms we want to see that is no longer possible this time around. This is the only thing we are still hoping. So for me, INEC has done better this time around than, and because the INEC this time around do not have so much challenges, the INEC that conducted the 2021 second governorship election had. So with everything that has happened this time around, INEC has done better. But when they are going to Ekiti and Osun next year, they should face this issue of deployment, this issue of logistics, deployment of personnel and materials. They should try to face it. But with beavers, they have done well. And with uproad to now, they have done well. So we are happy, and we didn't see anybody being beaten by security people. They have done well when they deploy them. They perform professionally. We have to give it to them. But we need to audit their deployment of 45,000, 88,000, 34,000. It's time we start auditing it. But INEC has done well today, and we are happy they have done well so far. We hope that nothing happens between now and midnight. So, because if it happens, we call them out. We thank them for doing well so far, and we'll call them out if anything stops. Because in the year 2020, they uploaded very fast like this. The remaining 10% or something, they took another 3 hours. We started calling out, shouting, and finally it happened. So we are happy that INEC promised that they are ready for this election. And I'm also happy that the chairman is walking the talk, the new chairman. So he said he will upload, he will deliver, he will do this. We are happy that he's doing that. Because what happened in Edo, September last year, we were not happy. Okay. We are happy here.
I'm talking about institutions.
We're beginning to round up. We have about 5 more minutes. So I would like you to wrap up with it. And I'm going to build on this later on with the other guests. And that has to do with, I don't know whether you noticed, but where we were, we're looking for party agents. What's going on with party agents?
You know, we
because
have...
First, they're supposed to monitor the process, report to their own situation, countersign the from EC8A.
Yes.
You're looking for party agents?
Yeah. You know, we had talked about it, and there's an obligation for political parties. When you're throwing your hat in the ring, in the political ring, the electoral ring, you have to make sure that you're prepared, and you have to work hard. You have to be able to muster the resources, spend the resources, make sure that you get people to protect your vote. And don't forget, it's not even your vote, it's the people's vote. People who have come in, you know, to vote for you, even if it's 1, 2, 10 people, it doesn't matter. But you have a duty to monitor the vote. So it also shows a lack of preparedness you know, when you're involved in this process and then you don't deploy agents, so what you are saying is that you are there for the fun, for the ride, because perhaps you believe that you're not going to make any impact. If you believe that you're going to make an impact and that it's important, you will get people to protect your votes. You know, so it's been worrisome. In some polling units, I mean, PUs, we saw party agents, not more than 5 at any particular point in time. Not more than 5, the big parties, essentially. You know, so I don't think that that is a good one at all. They must show much more. They have an obligation, you know, that when you throw your hat in the ring, you must go all the way. You must walk the, you know, the whole hog. Then, you know, we talked a bit about institutions. She started with INEC and all that. But let's also commend other stakeholders. Let's talk about the police, for instance. They deliberately went out of their way to meet with civil society.
Sure.
Out of their way, they came visiting. The commissioner in charge of the election came visiting and was asked all manners of questions, made this presentation, and she talked earlier about them deploying, you know, somebody of the rank of an assistant commissioner of police to situation room. So that as we are getting reports from the field, from everywhere, when there is a security situation somewhere,
yeah, sure.
Yes, I mean that's an innovation, serious innovation. So that as you are getting reports from the field, there's a crisis here, there's violence here, she's there. Where you know, she's told immediately, and then she knows what to do. And I think that that is an innovation. Not only that, he told us that the police had actually deployed commissioners of police in all local government councils.
The 21 local
21
government
local government
areas.
councils, commissioners of police, as high as that. So that was the importance to which they attached, you know, the importance they attached to this particular process. And I think it's a good thing. This tendency to want to talk, the NYC also came visiting a stakeholders meeting, telling everybody there that these children that we are deploying, you know, this ad hoc staff, you know, are your children, our children, protect them.
Okay.
You know, and that's a great one.
Kickoff, Situation Room Analyst, thank you so much for coming on the program. Maudi, Situation Room Analyst as well. It's not over. Collation begins, I guess, any moment from now at the State HQ, where we'll get to see how the local government will file in to announce their own result, and then eventual announcement by the returning officer of the state to know who. But with 81% uploaded, I guess more coming in the next 2 hours. With this rate, in the next 2 hours, I expect everything to be uploaded. So it's a question of moving it from all of the hinterland to the center to be able to announce the final result. But I must thank you both for coming. Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.